All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I'm Anuja Kumar and with me is Saira Mujtaba. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to review status and preparedness of COVID response and management with Chief Ministers of 6 states and a Union Territory. Labour Minister Santosh Gangwar says over 50 crore workers to benefit from labour reform bills. India and China agree to earnestly implement important consensus reached by leaders of 2 countries in the military commander level meeting. COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 80.86%. US President Donald Trump asks United Nations to hold Beijing responsible for consequences of COVID-19 pandemic. And in IPL cricket, Rajasthan Royals beat Chennai Super Kings by 16 runs at Sharjah. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will chair a high-level virtual meeting with the Chief Ministers and Health Ministers of 6 COVID high-burden states and a Union Territory today to review the status and preparedness of COVID response and management. More than 63% of the active cases of the country are concentrated in these 6 states and a Union Territory. These are Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Uttar Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Punjab and Delhi. Union Minister for Labour and Employment Santosh Gangwar said the 3 labour reform bills will prove to be a game changer. Lok Sabha passed the 3 bills yesterday, namely the Occupational Safety, Health and Working Conditions Code 2020, the Industrial Relations Code 2020 and the Code on Social Security 2020. In his reply in the Lok Sabha after the debate over the bills, Mr. Gangwar said these legislations will usher in labour welfare reforms for over 50 crore workers in the country. The minister asserted that in the last 6 years, many multi-stakeholders consultations were held, including with the trade unions, employers, state governments and experts of labour sector. He said their viewpoints were considered and amalgamated into the provisions of the new labour codes.
आज हम एक ऐसे ऐतिहासिक दिन के साक्षी बन रहे हैं जब देश में काम कर रहे 50 करोड़ श्रमिकों को आजादी के 73 वर्षों के बाद वेतन सुरक्षा, सामाजिक सुरक्षा, कार्यस्थल पर उचित वातावरण तथा उत्तरदायी विवाद निष्पादन व्यवस्था देने का कार्य इन लेबर कोड्स के माध्यम से किया जा रहा है। यह तभी संभव हो पा रहा है कि हमारे देश को एक जवाबदेह प्रधानमंत्री मिला है जो हर बात को सोचता और समझता है और तुरंत फैसला लेता है।
While replying to the issues raised by the members of Lok Sabha, Mr. Gangwar said 29 labour laws have been subsumed in a simplified, easy-to-understand and transparent 4 labour codes. Out of the 4 labour codes, Code on Wages has already been passed by the Parliament in 2019. The Industrial Relations Code 2020 envisages quick dispute resolving mechanism for workers. It also grants the option of fixed-term employment, making the workers eligible for the benefits of salary, social security and other welfare benefits at par with a regular employee. The labour codes also permit women to work in every sector during night hours upon their consent. He pointed out that these path-breaking reforms in the country will attract foreign as well as domestic investment from the entrepreneurs and will put an end to the Inspector Raj.
इन लेबर कोड्स में जहां एक तरफ श्रमिकों के अधिकारों को सुदृढ़ करने का प्रयास किया गया है, वहीं दूसरी तरफ उद्योगों को सरलता से चलाने के लिए एक सरल अनुपालन की व्यवस्था की गई है। अब उद्योग लगाने के लिए विभिन्न श्रम कानूनों के अंतर्गत अलग अलग कई रजिस्ट्रेशन या कई लाइसेंस लेने की आवश्यकता नहीं होगी। अब हम सभी रजिस्ट्रेशन, लाइसेंस इत्यादि को समयबद्ध सीमा में और ऑनलाइन प्रक्रिया के अंतर्गत प्रदान करने का कार्य करने जा रहे हैं।
India and China had candid and in-depth exchanges of views on stabilizing the situation along the LAC in the India-China border areas. The Indian and Chinese senior commanders held the 6th round of military commander level meeting on Monday. Joint press release of senior commanders meeting said the two sides had agreed to earnestly implement the important consensus reached by the leaders of the 2 countries, strengthen communication on the ground, avoid misunderstandings and misjudgments, stop sending more troops to the front line, refrain from unilaterally changing the situation on the ground and avoid taking any actions that may complicate the situation further. The two sides also agreed to hold the 7th round of military commander level meeting as soon as possible, take practical measures to properly solve problems on the ground, and jointly safeguard peace and tranquility in the border area. The District Administration of South Andaman has decided to publish the seat number of passengers found corona positive landing at the Port Blair Airport. This helps immediate co-passengers for taking necessary precautions and strict self-isolation measures to contain the virus. The seat numbers of 3 inbound passengers coming from Kolkata who were found positive have been published in today's newspaper. The immediate co-passengers seated at the back and front row were advised to stay in self-isolation and informed of any symptoms like fever, ILI, SERI, etc. through the helpline number. The administration will also monitor such passengers over phone or by its field staff.
In Madhya Pradesh, the Mukhyamantri Kisan Kalyan Yojana is being implemented in the state on the lines of Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi Yojana. Under the scheme, additional financial assistance of 4,000 rupees will be given to the eligible beneficiaries of Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi Yojana.
About 80 lakh farmers of Madhya Pradesh will be benefited by the Mukhyamantri Kisan Kalyan Yojana. Now they will be able to get an annual assistance of 10,000 rupees. Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan addressed the Sabko Saakh Sabka Vikas program organized under the Garib Kalyan Week at Minto Hall in Bhopal.
हमारे प्रधानमंत्री श्रीमान नरेंद्र मोदी हमेशा किसानों का हित उनके दिमाग में, और उनमें से एक कदम प्रधानमंत्री किसान सम्मान निधि का। आज मैंने एक फैसला किया, प्रधानमंत्री जी 6,000 रुपया देते हैं, 2,000 रुपया 3 किस्तों में। अब हम मुख्यमंत्री किसान कल्याण निधि के नाम 2,000 रुपया साल में 2 बार और किसान के खाते में, कुल मिला के 10,000 रुपया साल किसान के खाते में 5 किस्तों में जाए। मतलब बीच में जरूरी काम किसान के रुकेंगे नहीं।
Apart from this, farmer-friendly schemes will be integrated into the state and implemented as a package. The Chief Minister also deposited an amount of rupees 800 crore in the accounts of cooperative banks and societies. On this occasion, the Chief Minister also provided Kisan Credit Card to 63,000 beneficiaries. Along with this, a loan of 122 crore was also given to more than 35,000 farmers by cooperative societies. Sanjeev Sharma, AIR News, Bhopal.
The Tamil Nadu Chief Minister Edappadi K. Palaniswamy reiterated that the centre's 3 legislations on agriculture are beneficial to the farmers. Talking to reporters at Madurai Airport last evening, he said the DMK is opposing them due to lack of understanding of their various provisions. He assured that the farmers can continue to sell the essential commodities at MSP. When asked about the AIADMK MP in the Rajya Sabha, S.R. Balasubramaniam, criticizing the bills during the debate, Mr. Palaniswamy said that his party will call for an explanation from him. A Memorandum of Understanding or MOU was signed between the Ahmedabad-based International Center for Technology and Entrepreneurship or iCreate and Israel's Startup Nation Central SNC yesterday. This MOU is aimed to create an enabling platform for collaboration between the innovation and startup ecosystems of the two countries. The MOU was signed at the iCreate campus near Ahmedabad in Gujarat in the presence of Dr. Ron Malika, Ambassador of Israel to India, Shri Manoj Kumar Das, Additional Chief Secretary of Gujarat, and Chairman iCreate and Consul General Yaakov Finkelstein.
In our series on Seva Saptah today, we bring you a special story on Direct Benefit Transfer DBT. In the last 6 years, Narendra Modi government has given a lot of emphasis on DBT to transfer the benefits and subsidies of various social welfare schemes directly in the bank account of the beneficiary. In his Man Ki Baat program on All India Radio on 27th of December 2015, Mr. Modi had spoken about how the government undertook the largest direct benefit transfer scheme to provide subsidy directly in the bank accounts of the beneficiaries, and the scheme Pehel earned a place in Guinness Book of World Records as the largest direct benefit transfer scheme implemented successfully.
पिछले दिनों भारत सरकार ने एक प्रयास किया कि योजना के जो हकदार हैं उनके पास सरलता से लाभ कैसे पहुंचे। हमारे देश में गैस सिलेंडर में सब्सिडी दी जाती है, करोड़ों रुपया उसमें जाते हैं, लेकिन ये हिसाब किताब नहीं था कि जो लाभार्थी है उसी के पास पहुंच रहे हैं कि नहीं पहुंच रहे हैं। सरकार ने इसमें थोड़ा बदलाव किया, जनधन अकाउंट हो, आधार कार्ड हो, इन सब की मदद से विश्व की सबसे बड़ी लार्जेस्ट डायरेक्ट बेनिफिट ट्रांसफर स्कीम के द्वारा।
We have more from our correspondent.
DBT is the high priority and focus area of the government. Jan Dhan, Aadhaar and Mobile, JAM, are DBT enablers, and as on date, more than 40 crore Jan Dhan account, more than 100 crore Aadhaar and about 100 crore mobile connections provide a unique opportunity to implement DBT in all welfare schemes across the country. The main objective of DBT is to create transparency in fund transfer to beneficiaries, accurate identification and targeting of beneficiaries, ensure greater inclusion and ease of availing services, and curb leakages in benefit delivery services. Anupam Mish, AI News, Delhi.
US President Donald Trump lashed out against China today, demanding that the UN should hold Beijing responsible for the consequences of unleashing the plague of COVID-19 on the world. Speaking at the General Assembly's high-level meeting in a pre-recorded address, he said the Chinese government and the World Health Organization falsely declared there was no evidence of human-to-human transmission. Later, they falsely said people without symptoms would not spread the disease. He declared that the United Nations must hold China accountable for their actions. He accused Beijing of allowing the coronavirus to spread.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to review status and preparedness of COVID response and management with Chief Ministers of 6 states and a Union Territory. Labour Minister Santosh Gangwar says over 50 crore workers to benefit from labour reform bills. India and China agree to earnestly implement important consensus reached by leaders of two countries in the military commander level meeting. COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 80.86%. US President Donald Trump asked United Nations to hold Beijing responsible for consequences of COVID-19 pandemic. And in IPL cricket, Rajasthan Royals beat Chennai Super Kings by 16 runs at Sharjah. For quick news updates around the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alert.
The government has said that 44.9 lakh people have recovered from COVID-19 in the country, which is the highest in the world. Briefing media in New Delhi yesterday, Health Secretary Rajesh Bhushan said India contributes 17.7% share in the total COVID-19 cases. However, in terms of recovered cases, India shares 19.5% of the total recovered cases. The Health Secretary said the recovery rate has improved to 80.86% and the highest ever single-day recovery of 1 lakh was registered in the last 24 hours. More than 6.5 crore tests have been conducted so far and 12 lakh tests were conducted in a single day. Member Health in Niti Aayog, Dr. V.K. Paul said the overall situation continues to be under control and the country is facing the battle effectively. He said all tests are being conducted now by using indigenously developed kits. Health Ministry today said that India's testing capacity has surged to more than 12 lakh daily tests. In a tweet, the ministry said more than 6.5 crore total tests have been conducted across the country. It said higher testing leads to early identification of positive cases.
The Phase 3 human clinical trial of the COVID-19 vaccine being developed by Oxford University and manufactured by the Serum Institute of India (SII) will begin at the KEM Hospital of VMC in Mumbai today. Dean of KEM Hospital, Dr. Hemant Deshmukh said, earlier this month, the Drugs Controller General of India (DCGI) directed the SII to suspend any new recruitment in the Phase 2 and 3 clinical trial of the vaccine till further orders after AstraZeneca paused their trials in other countries because of an unexplained illness in a participant in the study. However, on September 15, the DCGI gave permission to the SII to resume clinical trial of the vaccine, and the third phase of the trials began in Pune from the 21st of this month, and another crucial stage of trials will also begin in Mumbai. A report.
After receiving the nod from the Ethics Committee, the clinical trials will begin in the KEM hospital in Mumbai. More than 350 volunteers have registered for these trials, but a dose of the vaccine will be administered to only 100 volunteers who are found to be medically fit. They will be given 3 doses during a period of 4 months. All the necessary provisions, including 2 different types of insurance covers, have been provided to the volunteers. There is a community insurance of rupees 10 crore for 160 persons. Similarly, each volunteer will have the insurance of rupees 35 lakh for the medical treatment. Shailesh Patil, AR News, Mumbai.
The Bihar government has allowed reopening of all schools from September the 28th for students of classes 9 to 12. Fresh guidelines have been issued in this regard. Attending classes is not mandatory for students. Students will be allowed to attend classes only with the written permission of their guardians. Principal Secretary of Education Department Sanjay Kumar told AIR that schools will be allowed to call 50% of teaching and non-teaching staff and 30% students. Schools of containment zones will remain closed. School management will have to ensure enforcement of COVID-19 norms. Wearing face masks, thermal screening at the entrance gate and distance seating arrangement are mandatory.
In Uttar Pradesh, Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath has reiterated to strengthen testing and contact tracing for containing COVID-19. Mr. Yogi was delivering a high-level meeting on COVID-19 at Lucknow yesterday. Our Lucknow correspondent said that the recovery rate of COVID-19 has been continuously increasing in the state and it has now reached 81.25%. A report.
Additional Chief Secretary Health Amit Mohan Prasad said that during last 24 hours, 6,589 COVID patients were cured. During the same period, 5,722 new patients were detected. He said that as of now, 296,183 people have fully recovered from corona. Presently, there are 63,134 active patients of COVID-19 in the state, out of which 32,313 are living in home isolation. The testing of sample is continuously increasing in the state, and yesterday 150,085 samples were tested for COVID-19. MS Yadav, AIR News, Lucknow.
Amid surging COVID-19 cases in Chhattisgarh, the ongoing strike of contractual employees under National Health Mission is adversely affecting the health services in the state. Health workers have refused to call off their strike even after the ultimatum issued by the state government. More from our Raipur correspondent.
About 13,000 contractual employees of National Health Mission are on indefinite strike in Chhattisgarh since September 19, demanding regularization of their services. Contract doctors, clinical staff and management personnel were engaged in sample collection, contact tracing and testing, record keeping, besides providing telecall consultancy during the ongoing health crisis. The state government had issued an ultimatum 2 days ago warning disciplinary action if they failed to call off the strike and return to work. After the state government took disciplinary action against some employees, many contractual NHM employees have tendered their resignation to respective district administration yesterday. The Chhattisgarh Pradesh NHM Employees Union has claimed that about 5,000 contractual health workers have resigned. Vikalp Shukla, AIR News, Raipur.
In Odisha, the COVID-19 caseload has further spiked to 1,88,311. On the recovery side, 3,704 persons recuperated yesterday, taking the total recoveries to 1,49,379. The active caseload of the state has gone up to 38,158.
Amid the growing concerns of the hospitalized COVID-19 patients and their relatives on the lack of day-to-day communication between them, the state government has directed all government and private hospitals to set up a round-the-clock help desk in their respective COVID-19 facilities with a dedicated toll-free telephone. They have also been asked to set up a dedicated conference room outside the facility with provisions for CCTV. This apart, the COVID centers have also been asked to utilize the social media platforms like WhatsApp to bridge the communication gap between the patients and their attendants. While the concerned hospitals need to make the toll-free telephone numbers functional round the clock with adequate manpower to attend to the calls, they have been impressed upon to share the patient's information with the relatives at least once a day. Girish Chandra Das, Bhubaneswar.
Gujarat has reported a record 1,402 new cases of COVID-19 in the last 24 hours. Total cases in the state have gone up to 1,26,169. More from our Ahmedabad correspondent.
With the recovery of 1,321 patients yesterday, the recovery rate has further improved and reached up to 84.34%. Total 1,06,412 patients have been recovered in the state till now. More than 39,24,000 tests have been carried out in the state till date, out of which 62,097 tests were carried out yesterday. Maximum 298 new cases reported from Surat. At present, total active cases in the state are 16,402. 16 patients died yesterday, taking the total death due to COVID-19 up to 3,355. Meanwhile, Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation has added 12 new areas in the micro-containment zone following detection of new cases. Yogesh Pandya, AR News, Ahmedabad.
The Tamil Nadu School Education Minister K.A. Senkotaiah has said the date of reopening of schools is not yet decided. Meanwhile, the total COVID-19 infection in the state has crossed 5.5 lakh yesterday, while the case fatalities are inching closer to 9,000. However, the active caseload remains under 47,000 since the 15th of this month. The recoveries have gone up close to 5 lakh. More from our correspondent.
The State School Education Department apparently prefers to take a cautious approach in reopening schools during the prevailing pandemic. The Department Minister K.A. Senkotaiah told the news persons in Erode yesterday there is no plan now to reopen them. His reply comes in the wake of some states allowing the institutions to run regular classes from last Monday. However, Mr. Senkotaiah said the government-run schools will admit new students till the end of this month. In a reversal of the usual trend, during the admission season this year so far, about 2.5 lakh students from private schools have migrated to government-run institutions. Observers say one of the reasons could be the income loss for parents and new legislation to grant 7.5% reservation for government school students in undergraduate medical admission. Jai Singh, AR News, Chennai.
Films Division has announced a 3-day online film festival on Indian classical dance. Beginning today, the festival titled Nityanjali will showcase 10 films on the life and works of India's leading classical dancers. The festival will be streamed on Films Division website and YouTube channel. All the films will be streamed simultaneously round the clock for 3 days and will be free to view. Some of the prominent films to be shown include Sitara Devi, Yamini Krishnamurti, Guru Ambi Singh, a luminous jewel Pandit Birju Maharaj and Kanak Rile, among others. In J&K, Sri Mata Vaishno Devi Shrine Board is devising new methods so that devotees unable to take nearly 12 kilometers trek to the Holy Cave Shrine can still have darshan from home. The Yatra to the Holy Cave Shrine had resumed on the 6th of August initially with a ceiling of 5,000 pilgrims per day with safety procedures. A report.
Working on the directions of Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha for optimum use of technological interventions to expand the reach, Shri Mata Vaishno Devi Shrine Board is planning to launch a mobile app for devotees to have live darshan straight from Holy Shrine. The app set to be launched on 17th October, the first day of Navratra, would also have features to conduct live havan. The mobile app would provide the opportunity to the worshippers across the globe to have individual experience of godliness and bliss, and also provide flexibility so devotees will not miss the Amrit Vela even if they are on the move. The new app will work on both Android and iOS operating systems. Gulshan Rana, AIR News, Jammu.
In J&K, the members of business fraternity, including Confederation of Indian Industries and Federation of All India Vyapar Mandal yesterday called on Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha at Raj Bhavan, Jammu. AIR Jammu correspondent reports that they thanked the LG for unprecedented relief package for business sector to the tune of 1,350 crore rupees and hailed the package as a good beginning. They also hoped that it would help the businesses recover from the losses faced due to COVID-19 crisis.
The death toll in the Vivante building collapse in Thane district of Maharashtra rose to 33 after more bodies were found under the rubble late last night. 25 others were safely rescued from the rubble. The ill-fated Jilani building located at Narpoli's Patel compound had collapsed in the wee hours of Monday. Following the tragic incident, the Vivante Nizampur Municipal Corporation has vacated 2 buildings located in its vicinity. These buildings had earlier been declared dangerous by the civic body. Office Superintendent for the local civic ward, Lakshman Kokani, said a decision to raise these buildings will be taken later. In IPL cricket, Rajasthan Royals beat Chennai Super Kings by 16 runs at Sharjah Cricket Stadium last evening. Chasing a target of 217, Chennai Super Kings made 200 for the loss of 6 wickets. For Rajasthan Royals, Sanju Samson scored 74 in 32 balls and Captain Stephen Smith made 69 off 47 balls. For Chennai Super Kings, Sam Curran bagged 3 wickets in 4 overs, giving 33 runs. For Chennai Super Kings, Fab du Plessis scored 72 in 37 balls. Earlier, Chennai won the toss and elected to bowl. Kolkata Knight Riders will take on Mumbai Indians at Abu Dhabi today.
The DMK President M.K. Stalin has asked the centre not to approve Karnataka's detailed project report for the construction of a new reservoir across the interstate river Kaveri. In a letter to the Prime Minister yesterday, he has said the proposed project at Mekedadu is against the orders of the Kaveri Water Dispute Tribunal and the Supreme Court. He has also said the matter is sub judice. Mr. Stalin has said the proposed reservoir under the guise of drinking water purpose would irreparably and irreversibly affect the flow of water from Kaveri to the lower riparian states, particularly Tamil Nadu. He has emphasized that it would threaten the very existence of many combined water supply schemes catering to the needs of lakhs of people. He has said it would drastically affect the sharing of water as allocated in the centre's notification.
In Mumbai, heavy rain slashed several parts of the city yesterday. The heavy downpour led to waterlogging at various low-lying areas including Sion, Goregaon, Andheri, Jogeshwari, Malad and Borivali. IMD Mumbai's Deputy Director General Krishnananda Hosrilkar said till 5:30 this morning, Kulaba Observatory recorded 122.2 millimeters of rainfall, whereas at Santa Cruz recorded 273 millimeters. More in this report.
IMD Mumbai stated that as per the latest satellite and radar observations, Mumbai city and suburbs are very likely to receive moderate to intense spell of rainfall. Besides, it has also cautioned people living in vulnerable places to take extra care. Heavy downpour caused waterlogging on the railway tracks at Sion railway station on the central line where passengers were seen stranded at the station. Deputy Director General of IMD Mumbai said several areas of Mumbai, Thane and western suburbs of the city received around 150 mm of rainfall. He said the intermittent intense spells that would continue is likely to cause flood-like situation affecting the early morning traffic movement. Central Railway have said that special mail express trains are being rescheduled. It said suburban services are being suspended between Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj terminus to Thane and to Vashi. Kunal Shinde, AIR News, Mumbai.
Now let us take a look at the weather update for the day. The national capital Delhi will have generally cloudy sky with light rain or drizzle. In Mumbai there will be generally cloudy sky with heavy rain. The minimum temperature was 26 degrees Celsius and the maximum will be around 32 degrees. Chennai will have generally cloudy sky with light rain or drizzle. Kolkata will witness cloudy sky with a few spells of rain or thunder showers. On to the north in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, the minimum temperature was 22 degrees Celsius in Jammu, while the maximum will be around 32 degrees. In Srinagar, the minimum temperature was around 10 degrees Celsius, while the maximum will be 30 degrees. Ladakh will have mainly clear sky. Gilgit, the temperature is likely to hover between 10 and 34 degrees Celsius. In Muzaffarabad, there will be mainly clear sky. The temperature is likely to hover between 15 and 35 degrees Celsius.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. With inconclusive talks at the LAC between India and China, the Hindustan Times writes, India-China to not send more troops to front, while the Hindu says, Army talks positive but no headway on de-escalation. UG-PG calendar out, admissions by 31st October, session from November the 1st, reports the Pioneer on the rescheduled academic session for the freshers in university. In the fight against COVID-19, a headline in the Tribune notes, a first in 2 weeks, fresh cases drop below 76,000. And finally, now Air India planning joyrides to nowhere. Headlines in the Sun Times, taking flyers on a picturesque journey in a bid to scratch the travel itch.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to review status and preparedness of COVID response and management with Chief Ministers of 6 states and a Union Territory. Labour Minister Santosh Gangwar says over 50 crore workers to benefit from labour reform bills. India and China agree to earnestly implement important consensus reached by leaders of two countries in a military commander level meeting. COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 80.86%. US President Donald Trump asks United Nations to hold Beijing responsible for consequences of COVID-19 pandemic. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.